So, here's the thing that happened. A few weeks ago, completely out of nowhere, the person who was maybe the biggest music star in the world caught everyone off guard by announcing a new project dropping right that moment. And it was a new house dance single of all things, which no one saw coming, and the music world is still trying to process it. But that shockingly sudden release was topped when, just a couple days later, completely out of nowhere, maybe the biggest music star in the world caught everyone off guard by announcing a new project dropping right that minute, and right after that announcement, they released a single, and it was a new house dance single, which no one saw coming either, and the music world is still trying to process that. Well, that's a coincidence I can't pass up, especially since the two artists are Drake and Beyoncé, who are two of the world's biggest superstars of pop, R&B, hip-hop, and whose paths have intersected surprisingly little. Drake was on one Beyoncé song in 2013, but that's about it. You could argue that it's because they're kind of from different eras. Drake owned the 2010s and became the best charting artist of all time, and I think I could make the case that he got handed that baton by Beyoncé, who ruled the charts in the 2000s in the same way before transitioning into more of an album artist and basically walling herself off from the rest of the world. So it's weird that their two paths have crossed like this so suddenly. Two house tracks released in the same week as lead singles for albums with just utterly ridiculous cover art? Interesting. So I think it's fair that we look at them both, compare and contrast, see which one is better. Let's begin. Beyonce's is better. No point in dragging that out. Yeah, this one has already been settled pretty definitively. The Beyonce song is good, the Drake one is bad, and no one likes it. And Beyonce must have realized that because instead of letting Drake have the week, she apparently realized he was no competition and dropped hers a few days later. You can't get a big debut with only half the week to rack up points, but Beyonce is well beyond caring about things like that, and she suffered nothing from it. The Beyonce song is rising, whereas Drake's song literally dropped off the charts completely in the time it took me to write this episode, which I was not expecting. Drake does not ever miss like this, and he's being outdone by Beyoncé, who hasn't even tried to have a big pop smash in years until right now. What is going on here? How did both these artists end up pulling the same move, and why is Beyoncé succeeding at it where Drake is failing? Well, first off, let's answer this. Is Drake failing? I see a song of his above Beyonce's on the chart there. These days, big stars just drop the entire album all at once and let the fans pick the hit, and clearly they have. So Drake's doing fine, right? No. The Drake album is called Honestly Nevermind, which, man, I hate it when artists write my punchlines for me. Let me work for it at least. Now, it's a whole entire dance album with almost no rapping. The only track that sounds like a typical Drake song is the one tacked on right at the end as an afterthought. It doesn't sound like the rest of the album at all, and naturally that's the hit. I mean, it's clearly there as a backup plan in case the rest of the album didn't catch on, but Falling Back is the lead single. It's the track with the elaborate 9-minute video. The credit sequence alone is longer than the entirety of Started from the Bottom. I think Drake was really rooting for this one. So the one non-house track being the hit is the biggest rejection of all. This is the public telling Drake that they don't want him to grow or change or evolve, just get in your cage and dance. Or don't dance, I guess. You won't break my soul. Meanwhile, the Beyonce song is doing well, but not like amazing, not yet at least. I think it has legs, but we'll see. Beyonce must be mildly concerned because she has done what I consider the most degrading thing a pop star can do for promotion, which is join TikTok.
The 28-time Grammy winner posting her first video on the app.
Beyonce is 40 years old. She shouldn't have to be posting TikToks. Let a woman be. I think Beyonce and Drake might be suffering from opposite problems here. Drake is the most overexposed man on the planet. He literally never goes away. People may be tired of him. Beyonce, meanwhile, only grows ever more private and remote. She seems content to let her music speak for her, so if you want to know anything about what she thinks or what she's up to, your best bet is to buy a Beyonce record and use it like a Ouija board. Was the real identity of Becky with the good hair Idina Menzel? Or maybe that mild to severe underperformance comes from their chosen genre. why house music? Where did that come from? And the answer to that is, actually beats the fuck out of me. I guess they both figured it was just kind of due for a big mainstream comeback. Just like pop punk last year, it never went away entirely and people missed it. Prime breeding ground for a revival. Which means that ska comeback is not out of the question. Come on. But for what each artist specifically saw in it, I have a couple theories. Beyonce projects such overwhelming power that it's easy to miss that she has not had a big hit single in forever. The last one was Halo, maybe Drunken Love, Formation if you want to stretch, and a couple guest verses on other people's remixes. But to be clear, that's because she doesn't really need radio singles anymore. Lemonade still made huge waves without a Crazy in Love or an Irreplaceable being played every hour. But her last couple projects also did not do amazingly well. That collab album with her husband got kind of a muted reception. Lion King soundtrack didn't really go anywhere. She'd been doing this a long time, and even legends fade eventually. Maybe she's not ready for that. Maybe she just wants to remind people she can still make a fucking jam whenever she feels like it. So if she wants to go back to being a big hit maker again, where does she go? Well, I seem to recall that a few years ago, Beyonce's biggest fan, Taylor Swift, was also in a bit of a rocky period on the singles chart. And she looked at that and thought, my reputation has taken a hit, but you know who still really loves me?
Shade never made anybody less gay, so...
Yes, the gays. Always loyal to their pop divas. Why don't we lean into that? I suspect Beyonce has come to the same conclusion. Like, house music is basically the defining gay sound. House music came from gay black clubs after all. And the song also features a pretty prominent contribution from LGBT icon? Fair to say iconic yet? Well, in any case, LGBT rapper Big Freedia. I think this house dance anthem is at least in part a way to honor her gay fans. One of the few instances where Taylor got to an idea before Beyonce. Although one of the many instances where Beyonce did it better. Oh, I'm mean.
Queens in the front and the doms in the back.
I do think she handles the issue better than Taylor's ham-handed treatment. She does make a brief, explicit mention here, but mostly she just lets the song stand for itself. Like, just the existence of Beyonce making a house song says it all, right? On the other hand, that is definitely not what brought Drake to the genre. The queerness of house music, of course, can do nothing in the face of Drake's overwhelming straightness. His heterosexuality is thoroughly undented, as you can see by this fucking video.
Commit yourself to being a good wife according to our values and traditions.
I do.
I now pronounce you men and wives.
I am fascinated by this video.
I think he's really taking these ones seriously.
I get that it's a comedy video, and that the joke is that he's marrying 24 models, but like, why is the joke that he's marrying 24 models? Or how? What's the funny part? Is he saying something about himself? About marriage? I think there is no real joke, except that Drake wants a harem. The end. End of joke. Here I am marrying 24 Instagram models. Doesn't that look ridiculous? You can't have that many wives. Unless. So then what did attract a guy like Drake to house music? My guess? Just boredom. Drake has been treading water for years now. His albums still do killer numbers, but no one seems to like them anymore. Fans just pick out the high points and dump the rest in the trash. Even he has to be tired of his shtick by this point. And so, Drake is out here trying something new. But honestly, not that new. I kind of don't get why everyone was so shocked by this. Like, I must be alone on this, but I think of him as a pop star first. This is the same guy who made Hold On, We're Going Home, Passion Fruit, One Dance, Hotline Bling, Find Your Love, In My Feelings. To me, a dance album seems perfectly reasonable. And if the hip-hop side of his fandom didn't like it, surely the pop side would pick up the slack. So why did people reject it so hard, especially this single? Well, let's say that Falling Back and Break My Soul are two very different kinds of house singles. Beyonce's comes directly from the early 90s. And as everyone knows, I'm a sucker for retro songs. I love it when things sound like other things. Drake's doesn't really sound like any era, it just sounds like a mush. But also there's what it's about. Drake is, what is he singing about now?
Me again, unreal. I see us fading away.
having relationship problems? The sound may be different, but the problems are all the same. Drake is moody and resentful of the women in his life. This is starting to sound like a you problem, Drake. Like, I thought this look into his relationship struggles was amazing 10 years ago, but it's gotten so stale. It kind of feels to me like prestige drama fatigue. Like when you're on the 5th season and it's like, oh, I get it. This guy's gonna keep having the same problems and complaining about them, but never change or learn anything or grow as a person. What I'm saying is, this song makes me think I should start watching Ted Lasso instead. Break My Soul, meanwhile, is about how Beyonce is gonna keep persevering.
You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. No, you won't break my soul.
Now, projecting inner strength is what Beyonce does best. And early 90s house always had those divas with the powerful voices, so that's a great fit for her. But in one regard, it's the most un-Beyonce thing I can think of. Like, here's the thing about the early 90s house divas. Who are they? Early 90s house music is also one of the most anonymous genres ever made. Like, who is this? Who is that? What are their names? In a lot of cases, even if you could identify the person you were looking at, that's not actually the person singing. And that is antithetical to Beyonce's whole persona. Almost every song she's ever made, you would listen to it and immediately know you were listening to one of the most famous people alive. But Break My Soul sounds like the first Beyonce song in maybe ever where she doesn't sound like she's singing about being Beyonce. Like, the big tell for me is this line.
Now I just fell in love. And I just quit my job. I'm gonna find no drive. Damn, they work me so damn hard.
Like, this song is by Beyonce, but it can't be about Beyonce because Beyonce is not going to quit her job. Her job is being Beyonce. There's some talk about, like, if people would follow Beyonce's example and quit their jobs. I sure hope not. I sure hope everyone realizes that Beyonce's professional situation and yours are not anything alike. Need I remind you, this is the album cover. This woman does not work a 9 to 5.
Work by 9, then off past 5.
Beyonce's thing is, of course, being ultra glamorous and powerful, and she's very generous with making all her fans feel like they have that too, but I gotta admit, I find Beyonce's royal persona a little overwhelming. So I do like that she can step away from that for a second and just be a person with a regular J.O.B. in a song, like any of the nameless house divas who would have sang this song 30 years ago. But of course, she can't keep that up for the entire song. It doesn't take long for the Queen Bee to come out.
Back outside. You said you outside, but you ain't that outside.
I do think it's funny that in the only visual for this song, the song about being stressed out by your 9 to 5, is the behind the scenes of her glamorous Vogue cover shoot. I do kind of wonder if Beyonce's opulence is holding the song back. Like, the inner strength dance anthem ruling the summer is not from supermodel haute couture Beyonce, but by glitter spandex Lizzo. Not that it's a competition, room for both, yada yada yada. But that's still in stark contrast to what Drake is doing. Part of the reason it sounds like Beyonce is serving the song for once rather than vice versa is because the song's just really good on its own. But there is no reason to listen to Falling Back except that it's by Drake. If that doesn't interest you, then the song won't interest you.
Holding me back, you're supposed to come right back. Caught in myself while I'm all on display.
It sounds like he's ad-libbing as he goes. It literally sounds like when you try to sing a random block of text. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation. I wanted to like this album. I think Drake should be taking more chances, and I definitely like the one beat on this album a lot more than the one beat on his last album, but the writing's just not there. Drake isn't saying anything interesting anymore, and there are just no hooks. In fact, I wasn't even playing it in the intro there. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm playing there. I couldn't remember how the song went, so I just made up something. Like, this whole album stinks of a rush job. I think Falling Back wound up as the single simply because it's the first song on the album. Like, even this elaborate video seems a tiny bit half-assed.
Values and traditions.
I do.
Like, it just begins wrong. It just starts so abruptly, and it doesn't sound on purpose like Weezer's Buddy Holly or anything. It's more like they just forgot to include the intro, which is an important part of the song. And this cannot be emphasized enough. Drake's falsetto is just the worst thing in the world.
Falling back on me. Falling back.
Drake is a decent singer for a rapper at least, but his falsetto sounds like Stewart from Mad TV.
I can't. I'm busy at recess.
When I played this in my car, I took it to the mechanic because I thought my brake pads were going, but no, it was just him. And it just keeps going. One thing I really like about Break My Soul is it has a very Bruno Marsian energy. Like, the song is cool not just because it's retro, but also because it is just crammed with hooks. Like, every couple seconds there's a new one.
Release the time, release the train.
Like, first, release your wiggle, and then the rap.
Back outside. You said you outside, but you ain't that outside.
Chorus, the bridge, it's just swerving at every moment.
Hold up, oh baby, baby, you won't break my soul.
And it's been about 20-30 seconds. Let's see what's happening in the Drake song.
What would you do?
Yep, still doing it. He's been doing nothing but this the entire time. God, this deserved to fail as much as it did. So what is the conclusion here? I'm not sure. Drake's career, I don't think, is in any danger. Beyonce's album isn't out yet, we'll see how that goes. I wanted to believe that both these songs would signal bold new directions. Beyonce would become more relatable, and Drake would do what Beyonce did 10 years ago and transition to making full album-length statements. But my guess is that the opposite is going to happen. Drake will probably take the rejection of this album pretty hard and go back to grinding out the same old, same old. And let's be real, Beyonce's not going to be making much music about working 9-to-5s. She's going to drop that album and be Queen Bee again, and admittedly, I'm pretty fine with that. That said, if she wanted to quit her job being Beyonce and just become this normal artist that you listen to because the music's catchy and you can dance to it, I wouldn't mind that either. Do it, Beyonce. Release your job! Thanks for watching. And while I have your attention, may I speak to you about CuriosityStream.
Is this your first time making a lolcat?
Yeah.
All right.
If you were watching this, you like media analysis and you spend way too much time on the internet, but what if we got an actual art professor to analyze the internet's signature art form, the meme? What is the meaning of memes? Why do some take off and others die? And how are they shaping our culture? You can find out in the documentary How to Go Viral, which you can find on CuriosityStream. Go to curiositystream.com/ToddInTheShadows and you will get an entire year for just $14.79. That's nothing. Not only is that a 26% discount on the regular price, you will also get free access to Nebula, a streaming video platform built for and by independent creators like H-Bomber Guy, Adam Neely, and myself. So you will get all the high-budget premium content you get on CuriosityStream, plus all the independent video creators on Nebula. Once you use the code and get CuriosityStream, you'll get a welcome email from Nebula giving you access, and you'll have access to both services. So sign up now, click the link in the description, and enjoy. Thank you for listening, and good night.
Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.